the school system offers is supposed to be only 20% of all your knowledge. The remaining 80% must be acquired using that. The philosopher Einstein said, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the brain to think. So after your graduation, you've trained your brain to think. Can you now start from there? People are now beginning to look at greed and irresponsibility as the only way to success. Go into our villages, into our rural areas. Notice how politics has become some sort of an only avenue to success. Somebody goes to parliament not because he wants to go and represent their people, but because he wants to become rich through the salaries there, which he perceives as the only way to success. In any case, if you are not already developed, why would you go and deceive your community that you will develop them? If you have not developed your community, why would you deceive your district that you can develop them? If you have not developed your district, why would you go and deceive your country that you can develop them? If you have not developed your country, why would you lie to the world that you can develop them? Welcome viewers to our podcast. Today we want to look at an interesting issue. We want to look into the question of mediocrity as a post-colonial pandemic in continental Africa, and that comes along with so much baggage because we have been looking at many issues. We saw our identities, fractured identities. We looked at sociological setbacks. We looked at cultural rigidity and societal transformation, among others, in our previous episodes. But today we want to look into how best can we focus on quality of things, because when we talk about mediocrity, by definition, this refers to something which is average, not bad, not good, not so special, not excellent, but also not too low. At this point, we are seeing an increasing number of people who are content to settle for mediocre things. They are seeking to survive rather than to strive. And it is this comfort with mediocrity which is what fuels our lagging behind, our laxity, and our failure to achieve greater heights. We are seeing a growing aspect of mediocrity throughout society today, at individual levels, societal levels, economic levels, and political levels, among others. People who settle for common, ordinary qualities of things. This we have got to awaken to, because as it has been said that no great achievements are located in the comfort zones. This calls for knowledge and innovation. Ideally, we do not lack good jobs and opportunities. What we really lack are knowledge and innovation, which we often bypass on our way to corruption and cheap popularity. These are manifestations of mediocrity. Someone goes to school simply to get jobs. Once he has finished studying, he has got the degree, you don't see people looking into the book anymore. They say goodbye to the reading culture, forgetting that what the school system offers is supposed to be only 20% of all your knowledge. The remaining 80% must be acquired using that. The philosopher Einstein said, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the brain to think. So after your graduation, you've trained your brain to think. Can you now start from there? You've been trained, you've been given the knowledge. You've noticed that we have limited jobs. What have you done about it as an academician? If you are looking for the white-collar jobs, you are now living in, if everybody, because you may ask yourself, can everybody have white-collar jobs? If everybody had such, then where would the other people for them to work with come from? Moreover, we have seen great achievements being acquired from other fields, which we always overlook. We have seen people creating businesses, projects, people investing in new things here and there. It is in the process of attempting something which you have never done before. That is how we end up learning to get into greater heights. So, in such jeopardy, we need to think beyond the box. We need to be embracing problem solving. We need to get rid of the belief that achievements come easily. and we should avoid the behavior of trying to follow the path which we saw everybody following. Instead, we need to walk a new path so that others can follow after us. This involves creating a new idea, a new project. The knowledge of God is enough for you to do something. This means you can come up with plans and ideas. You have got to research on how to better, how to work on what you're doing until it yields desirable results. This is much better than the dependency aspect, where one simply believes that success can only be achieved in the one way through which others have achieved. This is why even the people who have the jobs, they are always struggling with each other. There is jealousy here and there. People are struggling for petty things, a result of failure to create something which is your own. All eyes on the same public aspect. It is the same mentality resulting in corruption. People are now beginning to look at greed and irresponsibility as the only way to success. Go into our villages, into our rural areas. Notice how politics has become some sort of an only avenue to success. Somebody goes to parliament not because he wants to go and represent their people, but because he wants to become rich through the salaries there, which he perceives as the only way to success. In any case, if you are not already developed, why would you go and deceive your community that you will develop them? If you have not developed your community, why would you deceive your district that you can develop them? If you have not developed your district, why would you go and deceive your country that you can develop them? If you have not developed your country, why would you lie to the world that you can develop them? In other words, we need to stop looking at the societal structures that are in place as the only avenue for success. Yes, it's true, somebody can succeed through them, but we shouldn't put all our eggs in the same basket. When you look at developed countries, the most powerful countries in the world, Europe, America, and so on, people are using private initiatives to make their country great and powerful. The technology geeks, the internet platforms, the innovative aspects, most of the things that are produced there, they are personal initiatives. Most people ignore the role of the individual in shaping the society. They think society develops usually wholesomely. Yes, it is true, though we develop wholesomely, but the wholesome development of society is a result of the cumulative effort of the individuals within the society. So, by you or me waking up and saying, let me brand my product, let me create my own initiative, and let me try to come up with something developmental by myself and for myself in order to make my community a better place. Such initiatives, when more and more do it, if enough of us do it, that is how our society as a whole develops. Rather than us saying, okay, I have finished studying, now I want that job. The other gentleman I studied with is also eyeing that same job. The other lady, same job. At the end of the day, we are all looking at that same office. Moreover, when we crowd into it, first of all, the opportunity is not enough for everybody. Yet by us trying other avenues, we shall end up creating other alternative opportunities even for other people. Furthermore, when you do your own things, you end up having a vision. You end up having dreams that are bigger than your potential. Are you surprised? Is it a surprise that it is an individual seeking to colonize Mars? Why not governments? It is because it is easier that way, since there are no restrictions, since the decision-making processes are easy, the bureaucracies are easily eliminated. So let us learn from such people as Elon Musk. Let us learn from the corporate champions who are running the globe. Let us look at big role models. Under the theme of mediocrity, one issue that comes to mind is lack of critical thinking, whereby instead of somebody embracing the task of reasoning and thinking, people simply look into where are others going. A disease called conformity or the bandwagon effect. This is usually a misfortune because the majority has their own issues which is different from the individual. So you find somebody, for example, abandoning his personal lifestyle, abandoning his traditions, his foods, his African identity, his language, etc., beginning to imitate people from other parts of the world, faking accents, faking a walking style, faking everything, even what to eat, denying, dismissing your Africanity in the mistaken belief that by imitating those other people, you are demonstrating success. That is mediocrity of the highest level, because whom did those people you're imitating imitate in order to be what they are? It is high time you accepted your true self rather than the fake persona that you wear in order to be acceptable to the crowd. It's high time we decided to work on ourselves until other people came to admire our things. Because if we do not do it, no one is going to do it for us. If you don't appreciate your language, if you don't write books in your language, if you don't write plays, you don't sing songs in your language, you don't market your culture, who is going to do it for you? How do you expect the rest of the world to know that such people as you also exist in this world? It is up to you to work upon it and bring such issues to the table so that the rest of the world can appreciate. Our holy scriptures say, nobody lights a lamp and hides it under the bed, but rather lights it and puts it on the table so that it can shine to the room. So may we borrow that as far as our African identity is concerned. Can we bring our light to the table so that it can shine to the rest of the world, rather than the mediocrity of running away into other ways of life after seeing other people's life to an extent that we have sold away our minds? It is high time we parted ways with all these manifestations of mediocrity. In other words, cheap and poor thinking, the acceptance of average standards of things, the belief that it is up to foreign countries to come and save us from here, that it is America which will come and save you or address your political conundrum. If you have your issues in your country, no one is coming to save you from there. It is up to us to develop ourselves as individuals, our communities, our countries, and our continent, our motherland of Africa, both through personal initiatives and concerted efforts. Therefore, the way forward is to smash the belief that we are not enough, that we don't have the competence or the capacity to address our own issues. What we are really lacking is critical thinking, innovation, project-based learning, as well as personal initiatives. Everybody must have something they themselves have personally done for their society, rather than what was given to you by some job or some societal structure, maybe politics and so on. I don't advise anyone to look at politics as the only route to success. Little wonder in some developed countries you must already be super rich so that people are convinced that you're not going there to steal their riches before they can entrust you with their political authority. May we focus on our personal initiatives so that we can develop ourselves, so that by the time we move on to go and try to develop the others, we have what to tell them and they have the time to listen to us. Can we please abandon mediocrity? I say all this for the sake of our motherland of Africa. Thank you. See you in our next episode. I appreciate those who have been subscribing to our podcasts, and I still encourage more. It is for your sake as our viewers that we do shoot these videos. Thank you very much for supporting us.